you want to know that your digital dollar is liquid, is interoperable, it works everywhere.
Do you see any sort of overlap in your plans with USDC across the entire multi-chain ecosystem?
The Hyperliquid community is one of the most dynamic, committed communities in really the history of crypto. How do we become a stakeholder? And we've begun purchasing Hype.
Welcome back to the Rollup.
This is your home to learn from the biggest guests, the brightest minds at the tip of innovation.
Our goal is to help spread the collective knowledge of everyone in our community.
We are breaking crypto out of its echo chamber and taking it to the real world.
Jeremy Allaire, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Rollup TV. Big day for you guys today. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here, Andy. Love the podcast, love the show, and and it's a great day to be coming on and chatting with you.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. So I'd like to start, I think, with giving you the floor for an opening remarks of sorts, right? Last week we had the big USDH saga. If you guys haven't seen that on my Twitter, I pinned it. It should be on there. I did a whole thread, and there were so many proposals from the likes of Agora, Paxos, Frax. And I'm not sure if Circle saw it this way, but it felt like a lot of them were coming for USDC's lunch in a way. USDC, Circle, yourself, you took time and you built up this article today and put that out. So I'd just like to give you the floor. How are you feeling? What is the Circle view on Hyperliquid?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wrote that post just to kind of provide like some context on sort of how we think about things. And I think maybe first just, when we built USDC, we started in 2017, we launched in 2018. The whole idea was, programmable money would unlock this completely new utility for money in the world. And, really early on, we focused our energy on partnering with the protocol developers, the DeFi protocol developers, the builders that were trying to innovate. And, back then those were tiny startups like Uniswap and Aave and Compound,
Good times.
and so many others. And, I think for us, working with teams and projects that are pushing the limits of what can be done on chain has just been foundational to what we do. And so what we've always tried to do is provide a great, safe, trusted, transparent, and most importantly, highly liquid digital dollar that works on chain and works everywhere where people want to have those digital dollars work. And that's sort of been our covenant. And really starting in 2020, as things really started to scale up, we started to see like, okay, there's now new blockchain networks, new ecosystems that were growing. And so we had started with Ethereum, and we really saw like, okay, there's going to be a lot more spaces for this to work. And that then, really has led to, over the past, several years, this, tremendous growth in bringing our infrastructure to these major new platforms. And we've done that on like 24 different platforms now. I think with Hyperliquid, it's our 25th. And, a lot of people think, oh, okay, this is like, okay, I now have USDC on here. But I think one of the things I tried to do in the post is sort of explain really what you're actually getting, right? You're getting our global liquidity infrastructure. You're getting direct pipes from every major financial market center, every major banking system in the world directly into Hyper EVM and ultimately, as we shared, into HyperCore. Yep. And you're getting huge amounts of secondary liquidity as well. And the point I like to make is, Hyperliquid is one of the most liquid, platforms, obviously, on the internet now. And but ultimately, right, people who are trading, who are investing, they're moving between platforms, ecosystems, chains, venues, centralized venues, decentralized venues, et cetera. And you want the most capital efficient way to move your collateral, to move your settlements. And so we've achieved that. And I noted like recently, like on the biggest centralized exchanges in the world, like at the spot and perps level, like we're basically at parity with Tether in terms of that liquidity. And that's tens of billions every day. And then primary liquidity in the trillions now.
Wow.
That we've been able to do with USDC. And so it's that infrastructure, and then it's all of the people that kind of like have built on that and plug into that. So we're bringing all of that to the Hyperliquid ecosystem. And so I think, but really like, it's been incredible to see the growth, obviously, over the last year. And several months ago, we were like, okay, we have to figure out how to do this. but do it in a Hyperliquid ecosystem aligned way. And so we really started to work with the team and talk about how could we be a stronger participant in the ecosystem, not just like bring the actual, stablecoin protocols, bring USDC, bring CCTP, like make it all work, which is like obviously very, very important. But like, how could we begin to become a participant in the ecosystem as well? And I
like
think
it. I like it.
The ethos is like there. I mean, the Hyperliquid community is one of the most dynamic, committed communities in really the history of crypto. It's really been amazing to watch. And so, how do we become a stakeholder? And we've begun purchasing Hype, and I think there'll be more we have to say about that over time. But you can see we've started to do that. We are very much exploring becoming a validator and participating in a different way, as a validator. And then I think the other is we're launching incentive programs for HIP-3 builders. We want to see the HIP-3 innovation is incredible. The number of products and services that are building on top of this core, breakthrough, both at a liquidity level, but frankly at a functional level as well, is incredible. We're already working with a bunch of teams. We'll have more to say about that over time, but we want to invest in teams alongside this and support them in their growth. And our goal is continue to, provide a great, digital dollar infrastructure for the Hyperliquid ecosystem, and then invest in the community as a stakeholder, invest in the teams that are growing on this. And so as of today, USDC, CCTP, V2, which is extremely fast and interoperable, is live on HyperEVM. This was planned. We talked about it a while ago, and when some of the noise happened a week ago, I sort of said, "Hey, we're going to be there." But I think we let the dust settle and we're launched, right? So I think we feel great about it, and I think my own view is that the activity that's going to come out of this ecosystem is going to continue to just be high velocity, really high quality. And the structural innovation of a perps market protocol, and obviously HyperEVM itself and the composability that comes with that, it's a structural breakthrough in the way finance works. And obviously all of finance, kind of housing all finance, the core vision, it is a structural innovation. And so it's like a new building block on the internet and a new markets building block on the internet. And so I'm, personally, as someone who's been, interested in sort of this concept of programmable money for 12 years, trying to activate that, being able to participate in this ecosystem, which is pushing the limits of that in really exciting ways, is really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think without a doubt, there needed to be some sort of material response from Circle in this situation, which is just it speaks to the level of achievement that Hyperliquid has gotten to from really what's felt like a very core crypto ethos perspective. I mean, there is a ton of things that you can think about, but I think just this entire lore that they have of how it was created, and then that coming into the new administration this year with better regulatory clarity, it really was just kind of a situation where Hyperliquid was able to amass such a strong staying power and moat now that there's just a lot to gain from Circle having a strong presence there.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you mentioned the kind of alignment or just the deepening of the roots, because native USDC on HyperEVM is great. Native USDC on HyperCore will be amazing.
Yes.
Allocating to Hyperliquid, becoming a validator, contributing into the builder code ecosystem. I think a lot of these are what the community wants to hear. And one thing that I asked a lot of the people doing proposals last week, and that I'd like to ask you is, what did the USDH ticker mean, right? Because it's essentially just a ticker. Some could say that you guys missed the train on this. Others may argue it's just a ticker. USDC is clearly very, very dominant on Hyperliquid. When you were thinking about the USDH ticker, what did that actually mean to you? And how did you kind of reconcile with wanting to go about things this way?
Yeah, I mean, look, USDC is one of the most important tickers in the whole world, and I think we're consistently, one of the fourth most liquid and traded digital assets in the world. And we've been growing that. I mean, if you look at the growth in the last year, trailing 12 months, USDC has grown about 106%. And the transaction volumes have grown enormously, and the liquidity has grown enormously. And we're scaling into that. And so, we have this incredible globally available infrastructure and digital dollar, and that's our product, right? So I think we want to continue to support and build and grow that product. And I think for participants in the broader crypto economy, they want what I like to think of as like cross-platform digital dollars, right? Like if I'm going to get a music subscription, like I don't want it to just work on like the Samsung phone I have or whatever I have. I want it to work on every device. So I get Spotify, and I just know like they're going to do the work to make sure that Spotify works on every new device that comes out. Or Netflix, the same thing. Like I have a Netflix subscription, and like every TV, every screen, fucking refrigerator screens, whatever it is, like it's like everywhere. Like,
yes, it is.
And actually they have like 300 engineers, I'm told,
right.
that all they do is just keep building support for Netflix on devices. And so like, we think that cross-platform digital dollars are the same. Like you want to know that your digital dollar is liquid, is interoperable, it works everywhere, whether you're using Base and you're using a payment app, or you're using, you're using a new X402 agentic payment, and you've got to like move your digital dollars and make payments, or you're building in a completely separate ecosystem. You're moving to use a large consumer wallet like Binance Wallet, like whatever you're doing, you need it to work, and you don't want to have to think about that. And that's at an end user level, that's really important, but also like at a trader level, right? And liquidity and capital efficiency are paramount. Like that's the most important thing for people. And so we bring that. We already have that, and we bring that. And now I think by deepening our investment, deepening our integrations, like we're bringing that benefit to the Hyperliquid community. Now, Bridge USDC, which has been there to date, has been really important. In fact, like the liquidity and availability and the rails that USDC already had in the world is sort of why it started with that, right? It sort of it helped as like a bootstrapping model for a market like Hyperliquid as well. And so I think they're very synergistic. I think kind of globally available digital dollar market infrastructure that just is, and that we're just like, the Hyperliquid community should know, like we're literally like building out infrastructure in every major banking system in the world, in every geography in the world, and we're doing all the heavy lifting to make sure that it works, legally in Japan and Singapore and Hong Kong and UAE and Europe and the UK and all these places, so that people who want to come in can do that and have that access. And so that's a huge investment that we make. And then, what we end up with is like, there's a public internet utility, which is the stablecoin network that we have, and anyone can connect to that. Anyone can use that. And that's really beneficial. And so for us, USDC is the ticker, right? We don't need another ticker. Like USDC is the ticker. And I think the important thing, and we really try to make this clear, is like what's very clear for Hyperliquid and for the Hyperliquid community is that stakeholder participation, that alignment with the community, participation in different ways, investing in growth together. Like that's what's important, and that's what we're doing.
Then Jeremy, I gotta push back and say, okay, from the Hyperliquid perspective, the community sees this, this $5.5 billion in USDC on chain, with an estimated, let's call it, around 200 million in revenue per year from the current interest rates being around 4.5%, 5%, 4.25. Now, USDH coming down fast, right? Which is a whole nother conversation. What do you have to say to the people who have been kind of taken off their feet by this idea of a stablecoin, which goes back to the assistance fund, which goes back to buybacks? Buybacks have been very sexy recently. Hyperliquid has really been the only one to pull it off at scale, but everybody wants to do it. Everybody wants to get it. We're in this kind of new era of thinking of crypto businesses and on-chain businesses. What would you say to the community who have been, who are really excited about this idea of stablecoin revenue going to the Hyperliquid Assistance Fund versus how it is today with USDC?
Yeah, I mean, look, like we've just started like what I'll call like our economic participation in as a stakeholder. And so like, as I made clear in our blog post, there's more to come. And like, I just like, this is what I can say today. And so like, I think my view is like there is a lot of innovation in the way in which like platforms, participate in value, return value, et cetera. Hyperliquid is leading the way. And so there's more to come from Circle. I would say also, I mean, look, what we build as a company is this internet utility. And it's a super valuable and useful internet utility. And everyone gets a benefit from that internet utility. There's now like this public internet utility for storing and moving dollars at scale that's interoperable and available and legal all around the world. And any person can connect to that. Any developer can build on that on any network. And that's amazing. And like, we're building that and we want to keep building that. And like, we also need to make money. Like part of it is like, the crypto community should want Circle to be successful and profitable so we can continue to grow and invest and build amazing infrastructure and products and the like. And so, we don't look at it as like there's this zero-sum game and the like. It's like, I think part of what my post also was trying to do is say like, hey guys, like building and scaling this infrastructure is a massive effort. It's an enormous effort, and it's not like we're done. Like we're just gonna like keep going and pushing the boundaries of that. And at the same time, I think participate and give back in a sense in a way that is unique. And we want to hear from the community, and like we're gonna keep putting our money where our mouth is, so to speak. And I think the community will be able to see like how important and significant of a stakeholder is Circle. And I hope that we're one of the most important infrastructure partners to the entire Hyperliquid ecosystem. I really think we can be and will be. I mean, I think we already are, just in terms of the utility that's there. But like, I think the go forward as this builds and scales and becomes a platform, and lots of people spawn other things on it. Like we want to innovate in that as well.
Introducing Extended exclusively on Starknet, a next-gen perp trading platform live today. With 50+ trading pairs from crypto to TradFi, you get the best experience on-chain today. Deposit in the community vault for attractive returns, EMV compatible, and engage in unified margin, spot trading, lending, and perps trading. Yeah, I think the notion that aligned incentives create, shared value, create a better future for those involved. I heard that from the Paxos team last week when they had originally pushed for 95%, right? And even some of the community was like, why? But at the end of the day, if you want a really robust, battle-tested, strong stablecoin liquidity provider on Hyperliquid, it is USDC.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no answer to that that is otherwise. And at the end of the day, native markets won, which makes sense. There's a lot of talk about whether or not the proposals even needed to happen, and whether or not native markets was going to win from the beginning anyhow. But I think at the end of the day, the community wants to have the deepest liquidity and the best possible experience to scale massively.
Yeah.
And I don't see how we get there without having a big provider come to us and really try. Because Jeremy, what I'm getting at is like, you said this is the beginning of your economic interaction in Hyperliquid. Right. And when the big dog talks, sometimes you just listen. And I know people will immediately just think, oh, buying Hyperliquid. But when Circle comes in, there's, as you've explained, there's a lot of other things that can be provided to the ecosystem outside of just, accumulating hype.
100%. And yes, there are many dimensions to that. There's product, there's infrastructure, there's partnerships, there's incentives, there's how we participate from an economic perspective with hype. There's how we participate ultimately evaluating kind of on this validator side. And it's like, this is nascent. I mean, how long has this been around, right? So it's nascent, and we've had the benefit of like working with major platforms as they've grown, like Coinbase or Binance or others. And I think we work with many of the biggest platforms in the world, not just like crypto native, but like Visa and MasterCard as well, like in the payment space, or, like we're working with the biggest traditional capital markets company, ICE, on like how does USDC get used as collateral clearing and settlement for like traditional derivatives. And we're working across platforms, and each one is unique. Each relationship we have is unique. And I think obviously given the way that Hyperliquid exists as a community and the importance of stakeholder participation and engagement, the way we've approached this is also unique, and hopefully values aligned.
Jeremy, I do have to ask about some of the different ways you're looking at the Circle ecosystem. A couple years back, Circle was USDC. It was deeply integrated with Coinbase in a variety of different ways. Now it's grown out to be really a massive kind of technology service, fintech, if you will, provider across the crypto space, across the world. Obviously, quite a lot of dominance here in the U.S. Recently, you guys have also put out this ARC chain announcement, and and we had the CTO of Circle, Nikhil, on last week. Great guy, great explainer. And I'm just curious, do you see any sort of overlap in your plans with USDC across the entire multi-chain ecosystem and Hyperliquid with ARC? Like, how do you kind of see USDC with regards to your multi-chain approach and then this kind of native chain ARC?
Yeah, for sure. So I think like kind of back to the kind of earlier comment, which is like, we want to provide a consistently available set of protocols and infrastructure that work on all of the best platforms in the world. And so that's like implementing Circle Mint, which is our fundamental like financial market infrastructure piece of what we do, implementing our wallet infrastructure, implementing our stablecoin protocols, including USDC, 𝗬RC, CCTP, Circle Gateway, which is a big innovation in terms of the UX of cross-chain user experiences. Like those commitments are there, and they're major. And I think that's just like fundamental to what we do. I think what with ARC, and I know you had Nikhil on. I watched the show; it was really enjoyable. Great job interviewing him. For us, I think we have found in the stablecoin finance space, very specifically for payments and for payment applications and for, regulated financial institutions like banks or capital markets companies or traditional payments companies that want to go stablecoin native, that there are very specific requirements that they have. And those are slightly different than, what you see out of other chains. And so we want to make sure that for those companies who are trying to build stablecoin payment native applications, that we have a great experience for them that they can build on. And so that the architecture of ARC really reflects that. This isn't like a zero-sum game. Like I look at this as like there's a lot of this in the internet space as a whole. Like like Google Apps work everywhere, not just on Chrome, or not just on Android, or flip that around, right? Apple TV used to be only in the puck, and now Apple TV is like on your Samsung TV.
Yeah, it is.
All these things, and so interoperability, cross-platform reach, making these utilities as useful as possible on as many platforms as possible is really important. But we also, as we build like CPN, which is the kind of our on-chain payment network, like we have feature needs that go deep, and we're kind of we're kind of integrating those down at the blockchain layer so that we can create a really strong international money movement network that that works at scale for traditional intermediaries that are trying to move money around and replace the existing legacy systems that we have for moving money. And so that is sort of a different thing. And I think one of the things, and this is just like a general reflection, is that, I like to say that the internet colliding with the global financial system, it's the biggest market that the internet has ever collided with. Like the internet collided with communications. Here we are today. We're doing this thing, right? The internet, collided with retail commerce. The internet collided with software distribution. Look at this cool software app in a browser. That's pretty awesome. I got my start like building platforms for people building software in browsers. But like the internet's collided with these. Software industry's big, communications industry's big, media industry's big, retail commerce is big. The financial system is fucking huge.
It is,
right?
yeah.
It's the biggest of them all, okay? And so the TAM is like the biggest of them all. And I actually argue that just like with the internet, like the amount of communications that happens in the world today is like 1,000,000x larger than the amount of communications that happened before you had all these open internet platforms. You know, the amount of information available to the world is like probably 1,000,000,000x what it was before you had these internet platforms. And so my view is not only is the global financial system the biggest TAM that the internet has ever collided with, but I think as a result of the internet, you know, becoming the financial system, that the financial system and the activity of it is very likely going to like be many, many orders of magnitude larger. Like it's going to drive growth. And, you know, people talk about like, where's growth going to come from? AI, robotics. I think it's going to also come from a higher velocity financial system where risk is better managed, where there's more transparency, more programmability. Like this is a huge unlock in utility. And I guess the ultimate point, and how does this relate to the comment and question that you had, is that like just if it's that big, like there's going to be so many amazing platforms that get built.
Yeah.
How many great web apps and web services and mobile apps are there? There's so many. Like how many great companies have been built on the internet in all of these fields? How many great companies are there that fundamentally like do commerce on the internet from this way or that way or this way or that way? And so my view is like, we're all trying to do this together. We're all trying to build this new financial system on the internet together. And we're going to have different virtual machines and stacks and protocols. And we're going to do this. It's this incredibly creative space. And I think like we're going to do some of our own stuff, and we're going to do stuff together, and we're going to just try and drive that. And I think we're all committed to this idea of bringing all finance on chain. And I think that's huge. And so we place bets where we think there's going to be great outcomes, where we can grow alongside a community or alongside an ecosystem, and we're making that bet here, obviously. And it's with that spirit and that perspective in mind.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to, you know, I think multiple trillions of total stablecoin market cap, likely by end of next year, early the following year. Arthur Hayes has a infamous Hyperliquid 126x from here if we get to a $10 trillion market cap of stablecoins by the end of the decade or something. We all know where this is going in terms of total addressable market. And stablecoins have frankly done a massive perception boost for our space over the last year and a half. It's truly changed a lot. And I appreciate your kind of blue ocean, grow the pie mentality. So I think I just like last thing for you on the Hyperliquid side, just to close this loop.
Sure. No pun
I mean,
intended.
this is a subjective question, but like, would you say your personal conviction in, and let me just give some context. So we've seen perp DEXs a lot. I mean, I've been in the space for 8 years. You've been in probably longer. You know, in 2017, Arthur Hayes created BitMEX. Then we had the evolution of the
I ran Poloniex in 2018 and 2019.
There you go, Poloniex. Exactly. And then, you know, then it kind of scaled into you know, then you have like the GMXs and the Vertexes and DYDXs. And then now you've got Hyperliquid. And there was a whole slew of people coming after them. My question to you is from just like a personal investor perspective, you know, speaking not financial advice, nothing that you've said or going to say is financial advice. Like what would be your conviction in Hyperliquid, knowing that a lot of the perp DEXs of the past have kind of failed to keep their staying power due to a successor being just better? You know, what makes Hyperliquid different? If so, what is your conviction level in this platform being around, and let's say, you know, scaling its revenue, scaling its TAM over the next 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple thoughts on that. I think, you know, the first is obviously like, you know, the team like solved like fundamental trade-offs between like performance, safety, liquidity, user experience. Like finding that and doing that is like really hard. And so like kudos, like incredible, right? I think the you know, can someone replicate this? Is this just, you know, whatnot? Like there's going to be competition. Like we all experience it in everything, right? There's going to be competition. When there's giant markets, there's competition, right? So I think what I would say though is that the concept of really taking the innovation and turning it into itself a composable, programmable protocol that you can derive and build on, and take this market structure innovation and make it a building block for any market in the world is really, really powerful. It's really, really powerful. And I think, it's a platform play, and platform plays are about developer flywheels and liquidity flywheels. And I think they've got that going right now. It's very early in that journey. I mean, Hyper EVM is relatively new, and the builder community and the builder codes and the HIP-3, it's relatively new, but it has a lot of promise to be a driver of growth on this platform. And so I think prior perp DEX models, whether centralized or decentralized, did not have that going. They did not make that platform play successfully, and so that's really, to me, a fundamental difference here. And it's, again, one of the reasons why it's so attractive for Circle as well.
Yeah, I mean, I can just look up Phantom, and I'll let you go here. Yeah. But I think they just tweeted $10 billion of volume, I believe was the stat. Yeah, 10 billion in, I mean, it's maybe been 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And builder codes enable them to basically just do a little bit of back end, front end engineering, and then basically they now have a full stack perp DEX on their app.
I mean, it's incredible. So like, I'm not on the Discords like you are, but like the number, like from my own team, that is like the number of like builder code and HIP-3 projects that are spinning up right now is pretty significant. So that's a good early indicator.
Maybe we'll have to give Brian Armstrong a call and tell him just to, build some builder codes. Why build your own perp stacks, huh?
Like, to the whole point of like, you kind of build across these ecosystems, you got to do it. So
Jeremy Allaire, CEO of Circle, co-founder, thank you for your article today to the Hyperliquid community. We all enjoyed the "Don't believe the hype" tweet. We knew that was not going to be the end of the saga. Yeah. So we're glad that you were able to come out and provide more clarity and really just show a strong, significant interest in the community economically, socially, from dev tooling all the way to infrastructure.
Totally.
It's been a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you, Andy. Take care.
All right, Jeremy. Cheers, man.
Bye-bye.